So Football Manager 2022 is finally here, and one of the most exciting parts about the game is signing some brand new Wonderkids and seeing how they can get on in your teams. But today here on Squawker, we've got 11 Wonderkids that you probably haven't heard of, but could still make a massive impact to your squads on FM22. So let's jump into it. So starting at the back with number 1, it is our goalkeeper, Giorgi Mamardashvili, currently on loan at Valencia from his boyhood club, Dynamo Tbilisi, and he's a player with really strong potential on Football Manager. The first Georgian actually to play for Valencia, and had a really strong start to life in Spain as well. Actually made 8 saves in a match earlier on this season against Real Madrid, and that is at the time of recording the second most in a single La Liga game for any goalkeeper so far this season. As you can see by his attributes on Football Manager, really quality already. It starts the game at the age of 20. He's 21 now, but some really strong attributes for a young goalkeeper, a position which tends to peak a lot later in their career. But you can see the greens there with his reflexes, kicking, handling in particular, some of his key attributes there. And Valencia, if you are starting as Valencia manager, they do have such a tempting loan to buy option of under £1 million, but definitely a goalkeeper to keep your eye on for your saves this year on FM22. Player number 2 on this list is Gonçalo Esteves. He's 17 years of age. You may well know of his brother Thomas Esteves, who played for Reading last year in the English Championship. Sporting signed Esteves from Porto this summer, and of course they'll be hoping that he can follow in the footsteps of former FM Wonderkid, or maybe current FM Wonderkid, Nuno Mendes, who went on to leave the club and join PSG this summer. Esteves is still very raw in Football Manager terms, and it could go, I feel, one of two ways for him. I think after a couple of seasons you may get quite lucky and be able to sign this guy for such a good price. But if you are managing Portugal or managing Sporting in particular, keep an eye on Gonçalo Esteves, because he could turn out to be a really strong attacking fullback for you. Next up on this list is by far one of the youngest on today's video. It's Wisdom Amey, who is a young Italian centre-back, currently playing for Bologna, and he's just 15 years of age at the start of a season on FM22. He became the youngest debutant in Serie A history. He played for Bologna back in May at the age of just 15. And let's add a little bit of context to that. He was born just 3 months after Lionel Messi won his first La Liga title with Barcelona. He is also the first footballer born after the 1st of January 2005 to play a game in the top 5 European leagues. But at the age of 15, look at his attributes. His height is fantastic at 6'2" as well, and he's already got some really solid attributes. If, for argument's sake, you picked up a player of this caliber in your youth intake for a club, any club, you would be getting really excited. So the fact that you've got a chance to sign him straight away on FM22 makes it even better. Definitely a player to keep your eye on in Football Manager. Next up on this list, and we're moving across to Norway, we have got Max Normann Williamsen. Again, a player very similar to Amey, who we just spoke about, and the fact that he's such a young player but still got some really solid attributes and still really tall as well, if you want a towering centre-back amongst your back 4 or 5. He is only 17 years of age. He does start the game away on loan at Kristiansund, but look at his attributes: 13 heading, 11 marking, got some really strong mental attributes, some good physical attributes as well. And another player with lots of game time, with lots of the right training. He could really turn out to be a solid centre-back for you and your Football Manager 22 team. So for our left-back now, we are moving across to Spain, and actually a Real Madrid player that you may well not have heard of. David de la Vibora is a left-back currently playing for Real Madrid. You'll see him at the La Liga Giants at the start of FM22. He can play on the left-hand side, but I would say he's more of an attacking full-back or even wing-back to add to your teams. He starts the game as an 18-year-old, and some of his attributes are already really strong. In particular, he's more attacking ones. He's dribbling, he's crossing, but he's still got good defensive attributes, including his tackling there. I think genuinely in the first couple of seasons as well, if you are possibly managing a slightly lower team, maybe in the second second tier of a division, for argument's sake, the English Championship, you could probably pick this guy up on loan. But long term, definitely want to keep your eye on. Fullbacks historically have been a little bit harder to find on Football Manager. So if you can find someone like Vibora, I think he'd be a really good addition to your side. Right then, for the right-hand side, we are now going across to Brazil. And we do love a Brazilian wonderkid, another Santos sensation, Angelo. He actually surpassed Pelé to become the second youngest debutant for the Sao Paulo club, bettering the Brazilian immortal by 11 days. He's now also the youngest player to appear in the Copa Libertadores. He's taken over from Real Madrid's Rodrigo, and also topped that off to become the youngest Santos player to score in the Copa Libertadores. He's not quite your traditional right midfielder, but definitely more of an attacking winger and can possibly even play as a striker as well. He starts off on FM22 at the age of 16 and already boasts some incredible attributes. Those already include his top dribbling, flair, pace and acceleration, and with the right training and the right game time, Angelo could be becoming one of the top players for your side. Moving on to player number 7 now, and we're going to be moving on to Ivan Ilić. The two-time Serbia international is the youngest debutant in Red Star Belgrade's history, and he was then poached by Manchester City in 2017 as a result. The 20-year-old now turns out for Serie A side Verona over in Italy, and he's now a very robust, versatile defensive midfielder, somebody you would have expected to possibly take over from Fernandinho if he were to stay at Manchester City. But being one of the more experienced players on this list already, Ilić has a really solid set of attributes. This is definitely a player for the top teams to be looking out for. Within a couple of seasons or so on Football Manager, I think Ilić could be becoming one of the best defensive midfielders on the game. He already has fantastic dribbling, passing, tackling, mentally superb, physically superb, and over time those are going to get better and better. And if you can poach him from the first couple of seasons in Italy, you could be set for the rest of your career with Ilić in the middle of the midfield. We now move on to his midfield partner. We're looking at Mustafa Kapi, who has just moved to Lille over in France. And the tricky midfielder, quite astonishingly, made his Galatasaray debut at the age of just 14 in a friendly against Levski Sofia. Just 2 years later, he then made his professional bout and became Galatasaray's youngest player in history. And on Football Manager already, Kapi has some strong attributes. Still seems fairly raw, but with a lot of game time could turn out to be a very strong player. Good technique, passing, first touch finishing and dribbling in particular. Physically is a little bit on the low side, but over time he could be a cracking player to add to your squads. We're now going to be moving on to the left-hand side of the midfield, and we're going to be looking at Octavian Popescu. The 18-year-old is one of the hottest properties in Romania right now and has been compared to 𝐒𝐏𝐒 on more than one occasion. Already on Football Manager, he has started to flourish and have some really strong attributes in the right sort of areas. And as a winger, you want him to be good on the ball, which he is with his dribbling and his flair. And he could be a really fun player to use in the game with his traits that have already been assigned to him, such as tries tricks, likes the ball played to his feet, and likes to beat opponents repeatedly. So if you want one player in your squad to try and frustrate the hell out of the opposition, this Romanian could be your man. So now we move on to the final two players and we look at the two strikers, starting with Lorenzo Lucca, the young Italian player who some would call a Jan Koller tribute act. He has stood at a whopping 6'7", but don't let that height fool you. He is a really solid player. He's earned a move to Pisa in the second division of Italy and already scoring a great amount of goals in the second tier of Italian football. But let me tell you now, on Football Manager, if you have the chance to sign this guy, do it now. If you can jump on it quite quickly, do it. Even after the first season, he will be at an affordable value. But these are his attributes to start off the game. Of course, you're expecting it to be strong heading with him being such a tall player. But his finishing is phenomenal as well. At 20 years of age, already got 15 finishing. Really strong mentals, really strong physicals. If you can get some strong wingers, whip the ball into the area, this guy is going to put it into the back of the net. Lorenzo Lucca, Football Manager fans, remember the name. And finally, we move on to player number 11, our second striker, and it is Benjamin Šeško from Red Bull Salzburg. He has been dubbed the mini Haaland, and the teenager has said his Red Bull Salzburg teammates tell him he's better than Erling. He might be 6'4", but he does have pace to burn. He's a very quick player, and Football Manager show that as well, with acceleration at 15 and pace at 14 already at the age of 18. But he actually clocked a top speed of 36.1 kilometers per hour against FC Dornbirn in April, which is almost identical to that of Kylian Mbappe. So we could say he's a cross between Haaland and Mbappe, and that would mean get this guy in your team. And to add to that, he's the youngest Slovenian debutant. He's the youngest ever goal scorer for Slovenia, and he's the youngest player to start in the Champions League for Salzburg. 18 years of age, loads of time to improve, some really strong and solid attributes already. Get Šeško in your side. So guys, there we are. There are 11 Wonderkids you may well not have heard of before on Football Manager 2022. If you've got any other Wonderkids that we should have included on this list, let us know. And if you have used any of these Wonderkids, let us know how you got on with them. But until next time guys, we'll see you all very, very soon.